crank the volume here. Get this set. Level. How's that? Good? Good. In the back there? All set? Great. Wow. It is so wonderful to see all of you here today. I don't know if you've had a chance to look at the program, all the people that were involved in creating this garden, but there are over 300 people who have been involved in putting this together. And it is so special to have that many involved. It's so special. You want to crank up the volume?
Yeah, I think it's big in the back.
Okay. All right. Wow.
Yeah.
Man, that's going to really carry now. We're going to bring in people from the highway, which will be all right. In fact, that would be kind of cool. That'd be a real party. Now, it is so wonderful having you guys here today. And before I start talking about too much, I want to share with you something that happened at about 5:30 last night as we were finishing up. Ed, where's Ed? That's right. Raise your hand real high. Like that. Ed, by the way, is the guy who designed this garden. Ed's going to give you a tour a little bit later on today. And Ed has not seen it because he's had to be with his family. So he just arrived this morning. So I sent Ed a few pictures so that he can see all the things that are going on with the garden. And I took pictures all around the garden so we can see everything. And I took a picture across this rock right here. That's right. And when I took that picture across that rock right there into Bonnie Cohn's area, there was a rainbow across that rock. And that was just so incredibly special to see. Bonnie Cohn has a special place here. Of course, when she passed, she wanted to be buried here, and she is indeed buried here in this garden. Her spirit remains here with us. And I have to say, I never knew Bonnie Cohn personally, but I feel connected to her. First of all, because she wants to be buried in a garden, which, come on, who doesn't want to be buried in a garden? But also because I've had the opportunity to meet faculty, staff, students who connected with her at many different levels. She was a student's administrator, and it is so wonderful to have her here in these gardens, again, lending her spirit to all of us. When I think about her spirit, I also think about the people who have helped to make all of these gardens, all of the UNC Charlotte Botanical Gardens, a better and richer place. I think about the volunteers who come out here who helped us build this garden, not only this garden, but just this whole area. We have a few of them today. I think Marion is here. Dee has helped us. Beth's here today. I don't think Beth made it today. Tracy, Sarah. I know Sarah's here today. These are people who get nothing out of being here except the satisfaction for knowing they have put something together that is going to make people's lives better. We are so blessed to have a wonderful set of volunteers. And one that I forgot, Christian back there. Hey, Christian. Thank you so much for your help. He does all of our heavy lifting. I can't do it anymore. I hurt my back, so Christian does pretty much all the heavy stone moving. Christian takes care of it. Also, Mike and Roger, who aren't here today, do a lot of stuff. And where's Ed? Ed, your Roger, too, has also helped out a considerable bit. We love our volunteers. They make things happen. These moss mounds, these are here because of our volunteers. Our staff is also incredible and, again, makes the spirit of the gardens richer. Mary and Jen are out there handing out programs and rocks. We'll talk about the rocks in a minute. Kristen's here. April's certainly here. And Amy, Ed, all lending their spirits, make this garden a better place. Yesterday, we were working in this garden, trying to get everything ready, and it was so wonderful seeing Mary and Jen go out of their way as they're trying to get everything ready and talking to guests and making them feel welcome. You know, what we are in this garden is we're kind of, our motto is bringing the world of plants to people, but what we really do, we're kind of a gateway drug to hardcore nature. And Mary and Jen, you know, we go right from sniffing the flowers.
Hi,
using
Matthew.
words like Petrol nigra and Rhododendron australiana. And if you're looking for some Petrol nigra, I actually think that Mary and Jen are going to be in lot 5 after the ceremony here. Anyway, what I'm here to do today, though, is to welcome Polly's spirit. What I'm here today to do is to welcome Polly's spirit into the spirit of the garden. I never knew Polly personally, but I've been very fortunate to meet a number of her friends, certainly her family. And we've tried to, and I hope that we have created a special place that she would love and enjoy. When I first started talking with Tim and his family about what Polly liked, about the different things that she enjoyed in life, one of the things that he told me to stress was colors. He wanted colors. So today, as you came in, y'all gonna rock. I got more than one, and I'm willing to share. And you might have noticed on your right hand there, off where Christian's standing, you've got an area with, Christian, wave a little bit. Again, that's the guy who moves boulders. You can tell, can't you? He's standing in a pit that's full of white rock. And what we'd like you to do at some point today, wow, that just goes up and down sometimes, doesn't it? What we'd like for you to do today is to put these colored rocks into that pit and help make this garden an even more colorful place. And by the way, there's one thing that I forgot to go. I want to go back for just a second. That pit was actually created by a great friend to the gardens. And I forgot to mention the wonderful art students that we have here today who have made this garden a special place. Johnny Massengale, right there. Johnny built this brick path, he built this monument, and last night he actually built that white rock pit for us. So Johnny's done some great work here all over these gardens. Also, Vicky Jo Franks here. Where's Vicky Jo? Vicky Jo, where are you? Oh, there she is. Hey, Vicky Jo. Vicky Jo made all these totems that you see. They're amazing. And I don't know if Rick Dior's here today, but Rick Dior did that music area back there. Anyway, you're going to put these colored rocks at some point during the program, whenever you want, into that white area, which is more or less a blank palette out there right now. We made a couple of flowers in there for you to see where they go, but set them in there, we'd appreciate it. Having been here for, goes up and down. Having been here for about 6 years now, I know what's going to happen to these rocks. These rocks are going to get picked up, they're going to get stolen by people. And you know what? I think that's a great thing. And you know what? I think that Polly would think that's a great thing too. So I'm going to end there, and I'm going to welcome Tim Rogers up, and a couple things about Tim. First of all, and most importantly, Tim is Polly's father. Secondly, Tim is a member of our advisory council, so he is deeply involved with these gardens, and we're proud to have him on our advisory council. And finally, I consider Tim a friend, and it is just so wonderful to have you here today.
See if I can, yeah, so it'll go up and down, as I probably will. Here, as those who know me well, know it's dangerous to give me a microphone and a chance to talk. We could go 45 minutes extemporaneous, a wonderful journey, I would say, but we're not going to do that. I'll try to do that. Yes, my hands will talk. It's probably good that I've got a hand on a microphone. That means I can't talk as much or as well as I typically do. It would take 45 minutes to thank everybody that I want to thank. Fortunately, I got to thank a lot of folks as we were gathering and coming in here. It would take another lifetime to do it well and to do it properly. So I'll just say thank you so much on behalf of myself, my wife Lucy, Patrick and Will, all of our family. Our gratitude for you being here, our gratitude for your support. Certainly my gratitude to Jeff and his staff and the volunteers is beyond communication. There are no words. There have been no words since May 1 of 2018, but there has been a lot of energy and a lot of love and devotion and commitment and support that's been expressed about this place, about Polly. It is hard. Of the things beyond communication is to convey how much of her is in here. And that's a testimony again to everybody who's been a part of it. I keep a medallion in my pocket that says on the one Sympathia, and it's got an engraving of the world and some leaves. And on the other side, it says, in the beginning, it says in the middle, the fruit of this life is good character and acts for the common good. And in the middle, it says, we are made for each other. This is one of my most deeply held beliefs, that we are in this world because we are here for each other. That is the essence of this garden. It's the essence of the infinity sign, the timeless virtue of us being here for each other is what this is about. We hope that however you would enter the garden, whatever identity you would bring into the space, you would be uplifted. However you are, whatever you choose as your identity, you would have a moment where you'd sit here and say, well, I'll be darned. They knew I was coming. I belong here. I'm welcome here. That's what we went for. Johnny, the energy of the memorial wall and everything is so Polly. Engraving it for us, and I had the great pleasure of telling Vicki Joe, it is as if Polly was on her shoulder to the point where I believe Polly might have been her spirit whispering to Vicki Joe what she wanted on the totems. What very few people know, and Vicki Joe didn't know until a few moments ago, to give you a sense of Polliness in this place. There is a totem over here with a turtle on the top. That's the furthest one away. On the back side of that totem, there is an image, kind of a fixture there, of something like a psychedelic octopus. What Vicki Joe didn't know, in the March before Polly died, she said, Dad, I had this dream. You had this psychedelic octopus on your right shoulder. You need to get a tattoo of it. I do. There is a psychedelic octopus on my shoulder. Vicki Joe didn't know that, but there one is on that totem. That is emblematic of how much Polly's was with Ed, and he did the beautiful image that defines the centerpiece of the, especially, I told you I could go 45 minutes and not barely take a breath. That's just but one story of my experiences of coming into the garden and being delighted and surprised by all the little elements of how poly they are, including the last thing that came in, or one last thing, and that's the little library there. Enjoy this place. Visit it often. It will speak to you, I'm sure. Do what I would do. Create your own theme music upon coming in, and then come into the space. Enjoy everything it has to offer. As often is the case, coming back here to sit, as Jeff said, sit, touch. Enjoy the energy of the wall, contemplate what part of the message of this garden, is for you, because there is a message in the garden for each and every person here and all the visitors yet to come. So thank you again for coming. It's been a wonderful experience, and I can't wait to see what it becomes now. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Dale. Now, if we have Teresa Petty, is the dean over in the College of Education, and it is wonderful to have her here today. Of course, Polly was a student in the College of Education, so I'll hand it over.
Morning, everyone. Good morning, everyone. I am Teresa Petty, interim dean in the Cato College of Education, and it's an honor to speak today in memory of Polly Rogers, a devoted family member, an outstanding student, and to even those who only crossed her path for a fleeting moment, she was a spark of light who saw others with empathy and compassion. Polly represents the values we work so hard to instill in our students. It seemed to come to her very naturally. She provided stability to those around her when they were feeling down. The tragedy of loss will not fade, but in the kind spirit she brought to the world, Polly will be with us forever. How wonderful then to dedicate a sensory garden to honor Polly. A sensory garden is inclusive and speaks to all who enter. This seems a very fitting way to honor someone who intended to work with and serve families and children with special needs. One faculty member in the Department of Special Education and Child Development said, Polly Rogers was a delightful young woman with a warm and engaging personality. Her smile could light up a room, and her joyful spirit was evident in her desire to work with children with special needs. Polly was friendly and kind, two characteristics that would serve her well in her chosen profession of special education. An academic advisor in our college had the privilege of working with Polly. She said Polly left quite an impression. She was pleasant to meet with and enthusiastic about pursuing her goal of working with students who have special needs. Lively and engaging in conversation, she was very passionate in particular about working with students who have severe or profound intellectual disabilities and are often not included in mainstream classrooms. In a garden, be quiet. We can accept ourselves and others and come back to an appreciation of simple beauty. Visitors here will be struck, as am I, and I'm sure you are as well, of the appreciation of this simple beauty. Each time we come into the garden, it's honor and confidence in the lives she touched and what she stood for. Polly Rogers was with us for a very short time, but her memory will stay with us and have a lasting impact. Those who are fortunate to know Polly will think of her every time they visit the garden. The sensory garden will be accessible to all and will provide nourishment for all who visit. Everyone who knew Polly and those who will come to appreciate her legacy will be enriched every time they visit this special garden.
Thank you so much. All right, now, Ed, y'all set? All right, so Ed Davis is the person responsible for the design of this garden. He worked very closely with Johnny Massengale, and with some others. I like to think we all have a little part, but Ed is the overall designer. So I'm going to hand it over to him. And Ed, do you want to walk people around, or would you like to do it from here? Your choice.
Maybe from here, since we have such a big crowd.
Okay, then I'll hand it.
Good morning, everyone. Can you hear me okay? Okay. It's great to see so many people here. I Yes, I assumed it would be a small gathering, but it's great that all of you could come today. We have great weather and can experience the garden like we have for the past several months. So as it's being developed. So those of you who are not familiar with the history of the botanical gardens here, these 10 acres, the gardens were started mostly as a collaboration between Ms. Botanical, the university's founder, and Dr. Heckenblacker, that's sort of the originator of botanical gardens and the first director for a number of years. The gardens are officially 50 years old. I don't know exactly when the official date was, maybe when we planted the first rhododendron in the gardens.
66.
So, and then following, well, I guess to mention, so they didn't have a plan to start the garden. They just sort of, the garden evolved with Dr. Heckenblackner's direction. They didn't have a landscape architect. They didn't have a designer. They didn't have a plan. And so, in keeping with that theme, Dr. Mellichamp, Dr. Heckenblackner's successor, took over the reins and did the same, with maybe a little bit more of a directive to enhance the botanical collection here so that it would be the special, again, botanical collection that it is today. For those of you who don't know a lot about the different plants in here, we have some spectacular, just trust me, we have some spectacular plants in this garden that I'm proud to help to curate. So, and as Jeff and I, we both started here at the gardens about the same time. Jeff, my title for this garden, or my role for this garden, is designer, but I don't feel like I'm the designer. I'm more of the advisor to, even though I have 40 years of experience as a landscape architect and as a garden designer, I'm more of an advisor on this garden because the number of people that were involved in this project from the very beginning, I see a hint of Ed's ideas here and there, but it was, trust me when I say that it was designed by a collaborative. So I think when, and as a designer, I would come to the center of the garden and speaking to Polly's spirit, let go and let this all happen because I wanted to have the control of designing the garden the way I envisioned it. And instead, we have this wonderful garden that is really a collaboration. The one thing that I will point out that haven't been pointed out that are consistent with the blend, the Botanical blend, is that the majority of plants that you, or all the plants that you see in this area are native to the Carolinas, or at least to the southeast of the U.S. That was sort of an edict or a I can't find the right word, but a priority that was set by Dr. Mellichamp and the staff wants to continue to honor. And I think you may agree that there may be some things that our non-indigenous plant material could offer, by a lot of flowers and things like that. But we kept the roses on the outside of the garden, the exotic annuals and things like that, so that when people come in this area, they are kind of forced to appreciate the natural beauty of our own Carolina plant materials. And thank goodness, it was a little touch and go for a minute the moss mounds. I hope all of you enjoy them. This was my brainchild, and the staff and Jeff were both a little anxious, and I'm saying that's a mild term, about doing what we did. But they were very supportive, and I think we're all, I'm very happy, but I think we're all pleased with the results of introducing a different and new and unique element into these gardens. We were able to preserve a lot of the natural plant material around. We were also able to incorporate what was happening with Bonnie Cohn's design, and then because we had an opportunity to use a lot of spring ephemerals or wildflowers. We have incorporated those on the edges so that different times of year people can come in and really appreciate the plant material here. Now, again, I don't know, I didn't meet Polly, I don't know her, I just know of her, but I did ask for some guidance, and this is where we are. I don't know if any of you know the mosaic in the center. Again, I asked with some reservation from all to leave this center area open for a mosaic. And I was telling Tim, Polly's father, during that exercise, I'm not a mosaic artist, but I've done several mosaics. There were some times when I didn't think it was going to be pulled off successfully, and so I asked for Polly's help, and I felt him just say, keep going, you're doing fine. And that image is an interpretation of a drawing that Polly's dad sent to me. So, again, we have a very close and hopefully personal connection with Polly here. It's still integrated in the design of the gardens. So I'm available, so many of us, I'm available to walk around with you, help you identify plants. Those of you who are interested in knowing specifics, I'll do my best to remember the botanical names. Also, I want to do a shout out quickly. I wasn't planning to be here. I have an autistic brother in Clemson. I have a wonderful life partner who was able to relieve me and stay with my brother while my mom is in the hospital. So, it's all about family and family taking care of one another, and we're so appreciative of family that helps us out so we can carry on. So, good to see all of you, and I hope to see you individually, and I'll be glad to talk with any of you. And I hope you get to enjoy the gardens in addition to this garden. And great to see you. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Ed. Appreciate that. Okay. I completely forgot to mention two of my staff here, which drives me crazy. So they're not here now, but they'll hear about it. Meredith and Tammy are not here today, but they also had a big influence and helped out a great deal. So I did want to mention them. And finally, for our last speaker, we have the Dean of the College of Liberal Arts and Studies, which is actually runs the gardens, and that's Dean Nancy Gutierrez. And y'all set? And I wanted to just say one thing about Dr. Gutierrez. I've known a lot. I've been in academia for about 30 years now, and I've known a lot of administrators. I have never known an administrator so student-centric, so focused on the student as Dr. Gutierrez. And I want to know that I really appreciate that as a staff member and as a part of your group. Having said that, I'm going to turn the mic over to you.
So I have a deep connection with the Rogers family. But I really do feel, especially for the after the various speakers earlier who knew Colin, and I love the actress story. Clearly, she's here. So when I thought what I might say, given this, what I might say on the celebratory, so solemn occasion, I thought maybe just talking about gardens would be helpful. So some of you will have heard some of this already. I think that it all is stacked around. First of all, the place that we're standing, Van Lanning and Glen, in the larger UNC Charlotte Botanical Gardens, was created to serve as a living classroom for biology students and the greater community. Ms. Bonnie Cohn and Dr. Herbert Heckenblackner were visionaries in establishing this gorgeous space, believing that the entire university could benefit. And indeed, faculty and students from across the campus, from engineering to art, from education to geography, use this space as a classroom. And that Ms. Bonnie's gravesite is one of the borders of this garden is only fitting. So we see gardens normally as individuals, as human beings, as places of beauty, delighting us through color and through scent and through design. But gardens are also complicated ideas. Sometimes they're used as a political metaphor in literature. Often they're suggestive of various kinds of love, usually romantic. Sometimes they are celebrated as the epitome of nature, and sometimes its antithesis, given that they are human-made. Jen Monroe, a professor of English and an expert on early modern English gardens, both real and fictional, reminds us that actual gardens of the past were deeply entangled in the food supply and the growing herbs for both food and medicine. Thus, very practically, they were essential to the health of both body and soul. When we come to the Romantic period of the early 19th century, the concept of untouched nature became the ideal, and you can see English gardens, unruly and a bit messy, attempting to blend into the natural landscape. So how is all of this history related to the idea of a sensory garden, which is where we are now? What does this lovely space, dedicated to an aspiring special education teacher, have to do with this brief excursion into garden history? The idea of sensory gardens seems to be a relatively recent phenomenon derived from the horticultural therapy movement in the UK in the 1970s. This movement was focused on special environments, usually hospitals and rehabilitation units, and at first seems to have been directly directed to visually impaired people. However, its conception and definition have been expanded and refined. Now sensory gardens, while still understood as vital for special needs individuals, and especially children, are usually not walled off from the larger public. And sensory has been expanded from the visual and olfactory to touch and sound, and in some cases, taste. So I believe the sensory garden is a reimagining of the garden of earlier times when humans and nature were much closer together. And Professor Monroe calls this a remediation of something that has been lost in human life. In a sensory garden, then, we find spiritual and physical well-being. I want to end by quoting a brief passage from Frances Hodgson Burnett's A Secret Book. And my thanks to Professor West for reminding me of this book. It is really great to be Dean of a College of Liberal Arts and Sciences, because I've got faculty who know everything. So A Secret Garden is actually one of my most favorite books when I was growing up. I read it multiple times. It was published in 1911. It tells the story of Mary, a young girl raised in India who comes to live with her uncle in Yorkshire after her parents. She and her cousin Colin are both sickly children in different ways, and the garden transforms them. And here's Colin's first visit to this enchanted place, and you'll hear the name Dickon, who is the gardener's boy, Mary's friend. And I imagine that this will be the experience of so many children coming to this garden. But Colin had actually dropped back against his cushions, even though he gasped with delight. And he had covered his eyes with his hands and held them there, shutting out everything until they were inside. And the chairs stopped, as if by magic, and the door was closed. Not till then did he take them away and look around and round and round, as Dickon and Mary had done. and over walls of earth and trees and swinging sprays and tendrils, a fair green veil of tender little leaves had crept, and in the grass under the trees and the great urns of the alcoves, and here and there and everywhere were touches or splashes of gold and purple and white, and the trees were showing pink and snow above his head, and there were fluttering of wings and faint sweet pipes and humming and scents. And the sun fell warm upon his face like a hand with a lovely touch. And in wonder, Mary and Dickon stood and stared at him. He looked so strange and different because a pink glow of color had actually crept all over him, ivory face and neck and hands and all. I shall get well, he cried out. Mary, Dickon, I shall get well. So in Paul's Garden, the university and broader Charlotte community will find him. This is such a fitting legacy, and I thank the Rogers family for their intuitive recognition that this is the perfect space to remember Paul and her passion.
Again, thank you all for coming. It's wonderful, absolutely wonderful having you here. Please walk through the garden. Please enjoy. Please walk through the greater garden as well. We have 10 acres that we'd like for you to have fun with today. Don't forget to put a little bit of color in that area, in that blank white area there. It needs some color. Thank you all and have a wonderful day.
Wonderful. Smiling right away.
Sorry, we're having a moment.
It's allergies.
Yeah,
It's actually right over here. They permanently moved it. Which stone?
Thank you, Matthew, for helping me.
You're just in Facebook Live. It's all good. You're the first one to play it, love.
Yeah.
Yay!
Yeah,
Brand new.
today.
Thank you for watching. Bless you, everybody.